a taste test of Brahma, a cerveja número uno no Brasil today. E aí, gente, B.E.D por aqui. Today, we're going to have a taste test of Brahma, the number one beer in Brazil. Now, full disclosure, I have had this beer before. What I haven't had it is at 7 degrees Celsius. Normally, it's served at minus 0.4 degrees Celsius, which is incredibly cold, and it is basically flavorless at that temperature. But first, thank you so much to my subscribers. I really appreciate your support. If this is your second or third video that you're watching, why don't you consider subscribing? And if this is your first time here, welcome. All right. Again, this is normally served at negative 0.4 degrees, which is the temperature at which you go from drinking a beer to eating a beer. It's incredibly cold. All right, so it's got a very malty aroma. There's very little hoppiness to it, maybe a little bit of floral. It's a very clear beer. Now, a lot of people have complained about the head retention, but as you can see, if you pour the beer properly, you really do get a pretty good head on it. Now, the color is right about, I'm going to say 3 SRM, a note I'm going to need to make in order to brew my clone here. Yeah, it's very malty and maybe a little bit floral, but there is not much hoppiness to it. It's a very malty beer. It has a little bit of earthiness to it, and it's got that nice lager flavor that I really look for in a beer, almost like a blonde. Now you do see that the head has completely dissipated, and it hasn't made any marks along the glass, which is an indication that they don't use a lot of carafoam or additional proteins to maintain head structure. It does have a nice full body. It's a lot like drinking like a blonde. Where it has good mouthfeel. It's not a light beer. Most light beer is really, really thin, kind of like drinking water. This is a little bit thicker and really coats your mouth. Well, that's all for today. I'm going to go ahead and make my tasting notes on this. It's a very malty beer. Interestingly enough, it's also a high adjunct beer. There was a story not too long ago that said that they use about 70% corn, which is pretty amazing, especially since I don't taste a lot of corniness on it, which not very corny. It's actually not that bad as far as the adjunct. It really isn't, it's not very noticeable to me. So they use plenty of malt to cover it up, and it tastes a little bit like two-row, and it's definitely a lager yeast. So I think I can pull this clone together pretty quick. I'm probably going to give that in a couple of episodes, probably about 4 or 5 weeks. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, and if you enjoyed this episode, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if, again, if you've seen more than one of these episodes. And until next time, saúde! Yeah. Fantastic beer, even at this temperature. I have seen notes that it tastes like pocket change, which I'm not getting. And another individual said that it smells and tastes like gym socks. Not something that I agree with. And he was from Argentina, so he's probably just jealous that Brazilians actually know how to play football.